Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Geek-Minded Fools. My name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
Scott, we're back.
We are back.
We were away for a while.
We've been on a hiatus.
We have. Oh, good work. Well done, sir. Somebody's been reading the dictionary.
While I was away, I hiatus everything.
Today's word of the day.
Yes. No, we did have to take a brief break, didn't we? Because obviously, as I did post on our Facebook page that life does get in the way sometimes.
It does.
And obviously I have to go out and earn some money in order to keep me in cosplay items, which I'm trying to accrue as much cosplay costume items as I can for next year's Comic-Con.
Just to annoy me.
Just to annoy you, yes, basically. I haven't decided who I'm going to go as yet, but I might just go as an amalgamation of like 7 or 8 different characters just to really fuck you off. But we'll see how that goes. It's either that or just a Jawa.
Lovely. But yeah, so apologies to our listeners and thank you very much for the kind words that you put on the Facebook page in our absence.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Come back soon. But yeah, so we've got a lot to catch up on.
We have
There's been a lot happening.
We have indeed, and just for listeners, obviously you can't see us, but we are doing this episode naked because we thought it would be quite fun. Well, I'm doing it naked anyway because I thought it would be quite fun. What should we start with today, sir? Should we start where we normally start?
Should we visit the monkey farm?
Why not?
Let's get in there.
Excellent.
Hey, partners, it's time to see what Scott's doing down on his monkey farm.
Right, well, I suppose, seeing as we've been away for a while, we've got a lot to catch up on. Monkey Farm news, for me, really, is going to be wholly based around the San Diego Comic-Con.
Absolutely.
Because there's been a lot going on, sir.
Yes.
A lot going on.
Occurred recently.
So, I mean, in no particular order, we've had a quite, in my opinion, awesome new Batman v Superman trailer.
Yep.
We've, of course, had the leaked Suicide Squad trailer, which then
was that leaked?
It was leaked first, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I watched it on a tiny little mobile phone copy. But then the next day...
Having previously said you would never watch a leaked trailer.
I did say that, didn't I?
You did,
We can't edit that out, can we?
No, that's
we're
there.
leaving that in, aren't we? Yeah, so I did watch the leaked version. But 2 days later, they released a good version of it. So we'll talk about that in a moment as well. Also, lots and lots of other bits and bobs went on at Comic-Con. There was some Deadpool shenanigans, which I know you're not a huge fan, but I tell you what, I think that's shaping up to look like a really, really great little movie.
Yeah,
but let's start.
I won't be watching.
Well, you've got to watch it.
No,
you have a duty of care to our listeners.
Bollocks to you all.
Fine, I'll be watching that.
It'll be a cold day in hell when I go and see a Deadpool movie or read a fucking Deadpool comic.
I watched Terminator. I watched Terminator Genesis for these people.
You.
Oh dear, you're a hateful man sometimes. Let's start at the top though. Batman v Superman. 3 minutes 40 seconds of absolute pure, I thought, amazement. What did you think?
I'll be honest. It's good, but I'm not as excited about some of the DC stuff that I'm seeing as I am the Marvel stuff, which is funny because I had a real problem with Marvel for a while and very much became a DC boy, but now I'm finding most of the comics I'm buying are Marvel, and I think most of the cinematic stuff I'm seeing from Marvel just excites me more. And yes, it does look good. It looks like they're doing the right thing. But I'm just not sure I can get as excited about the DC stuff, which I know sounds terrible, particularly as I'm co-host on a show called Geek-Minded Fools.
It is.
But
we age and we grow as people and we yearn for other things, Graham, and I think that's what it is.
When I look back at sort of DC's cinema canon of late, you obviously had the Nolan trilogy, which I know that you absolutely adored and me slightly less so. Man of Steel was a decent film but had its flaws, and I think DC have got to go somewhere. I mean, funny enough, I'm enjoying DC's TV output far more than I'm enjoying their cinematic output. And I think, they're going to have to go some way to... And I know that TV is treated very, very differently from movies, but I don't understand why, seeing how massive a hit the Flash TV series has been, why you then recast the Flash for the movie.
That's upsetting, isn't it? Because he's very good, the lad who plays him.
Precisely. Thus causing a bit of a, okay, you've got the TV Flash and the movie Flash. And of course, what Marvel have done is, at the end of season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury turned up, Samuel L. Jackson turned up. And that's what you need. You need your continuity between the two. And that's what Marvel are doing so well. And DC keeps saying, but we're the darker one, we're the more serious one, we're going to be the better one. But they keep dropping bollocks like that, and it frustrates me a little bit.
Well, hold your frustration, sir.
Okay.
We've got a year to wait for these for these big movies. But I mean, just going back to the Bat and Supes trailer, how do you feel about Affleck now we've seen him kind of in action?
I'd never had a problem with Affleck. I think Affleck's going to be great. I think he's really going to pull it off. Mainly because he has the chin.
He has got the chin, hasn't he?
He has the back
definitely
chin.
got the chin. I love the scene in the trailer where he's running directly towards what is evidently the huge, massive carnage that occurs in Man of Steel when he saves the little girl. I love that. For me, seeing him running into danger, that sold it.
Yeah.
That's Batman.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Absolutely.
Really, really, really good. Interesting to see a little bit in the trailer with Zod coming out of the body bag as well. That's I don't know what's going to happen there. What did you think of Jesse Eisenberg? Little bit too crazy?
Well, I thought it was an unusual piece of casting anyway, being that Jesse Eisenberg permanently looks about 20.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that... Was it Vanity Fair or the Entertainment Weekly cover? But it was the one where it was the casts side by side of both Suicide Squad and Batman vs Superman. And it was kind of a game of which of these people don't belong. And it was Jesse Eisenberg.
Maybe he is a little bit too weedy for Lex Luthor. But then again, the delivery of his lines at the end of the trailer with the red capes are coming, which I'm assuming the red capes are these guys, the militia, who have got the Superman patches on their arms. I am excited for it, but when we move on to our next subject, I think you'll understand that I'm more excited about that.
Of course you are. And mainly for one character.
Well, of course. So I think without further ado... Fuck me! Did you see the Suicide Squad trailer?
I saw the Suicide Squad trailer as well. Yes, I did.
It's just chock full of awesome lines. It's chock full of Harley Quinn, obviously, who looks beautiful in it. All right, they've made her. She's airing a bit more on the side of massive hooker, but I'm all right with that.
No, you're perfectly all right with that.
I'm just hoping they haven't gone down the route of making her too much like the iteration of her in the Liber Mayo Joker book, because she doesn't really have a great deal to do in that. I reread that recently because I just wanted to. Yeah. And obviously the Harley Quinn character in that, she hardly speaks through the whole book. She hardly says a word. But I think you can see in this trailer as well one other thing that pleases me immensely. Jai Courtney, obviously playing Captain Boomerang, getting to use his actual own Australian accent. This could be the film that he's actually good in. Because, boy, can that man not... He just can't do an American accent. He really can't. And I thought he was going to be the thing that saved Die Hard version 2, or whatever it's called. Obviously, that's meant to be a joke. Just checking. But yeah, Suicide Squad. Obviously, the main thing we've got to discuss here very quickly is Jared Leto, however you want to pronounce his name. What do you think? What are you...
I was surprised at him doing the southern accent, the southern Joker. Obviously not a way Joker's been portrayed in the past, and the look is obviously very different from anything we've ever seen before, with the silver teeth and
which I'm thinking have been removed for him by the Bat. I think the Bat's giving him a good smacking.
But you clearly were super excited by it. I watched it and thought, it looks good, but I'm not blown away by it. But I'm certainly more interested in seeing that than I am in seeing Batman vs Superman at the moment.
Right, and that's exactly how I felt at the end of the trailer. I mean, it's a shorter trailer, obviously, than the Bat and Supes one. But I just thought it was a really beautifully put together trailer as well. I love the soundtrack on it, which is the Bee Gees track, isn't it? I Started a Joke, but done in a very, very haunting way.
Dark way, yeah.
And for me, the best bits in the trailer do involve Harley. I mean, there's a lovely bit when they were doing the fake cocking of a shotgun with the baseball bat and just that little exchange before you see Joker as well.
Now, did they actually put in a proper shotgun sound, or is that her doing?
That's her going.
Because that was an amazing sound.
Pretty impressive impersonation. See, she's not just
really
a beautiful woman. She can do sound effects as well. I mean, quite frankly, I could finish the monkey film there, but I mean, there is more to talk about. We are going to have to touch on Deadpool very quickly, I'm afraid, my friend, because that looks like it. I think that looks like it's going to be a real lot of fun.
Call me when you've finished.
I'll call you when we finish. Yeah. No, I think that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like they've obviously poured a lot of love into the trailer. It's going to be R-rated, which obviously Deadpool fans are going to love, because you can't have the Merc with a mouth, without having a few swears in there. And again, I'm sorry, this was a leaked trailer, and I did watch it, but I just couldn't help myself. It just looked too good to miss. It's got, I think, some of the best cusses I've heard in a long time. And at one stage, one of the characters refers to Wade Wilson as looking like a testicle with teeth, which I think is brilliant. And also, he says, your face looks like a topographical map of Winnipeg. Just fucked Freddy Krueger, which I think is just beautiful. I think that's an absolutely awesome cut. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely hilarious. What else have we got?
I like the whole breaking of the fourth wall thing. God, you're so grumpy. I don't know if there is any more news now, Graham, quite frankly. No, there is, of course, there is more news. There's always more news. I mean, there's Walking Dead news as well. They showed little bits from the... what's the new Walking Dead show?
Fear
the Walking Dead. It's something like that, isn't it? I mean...
We're rubbish, aren't we?
Well, no, quite frankly, all I was looking at was Batman and Suicide Squad because, they are the two most important things to me that I think have come out of Comic-Con. Also, as well, I did see some footage from Heroes Reborn.
Yes.
Which I just couldn't be any more underwhelmed by, I don't think. I like the fact that they're doing it, but do we need it?
Now,
I know we have this conversation a lot of the do we need it?
Yeah, but I had a conversation with you the other day, didn't I? Where you were saying, what are you making of all this news coming out of San Diego? And funny enough, going back to the first podcast we did, I actually quite liked it. It was about episode 5 of that when you were saying...
We had a role reversal, in fact, haven't we?
Yes, precisely. When you were saying, with all these spin-offs, do we think there's too much? And I said then, I love it and I don't think there could ever be too much. To me, I think it is a great time to be a geek and all this stuff, you can never have too much. Well... I think we're now starting to get too much because the amount of stuff that was announced at San Diego, I just worry that they're flooding the market too much, that it's only going to be a matter of time before the bubble bursts.
Yeah, no, I do agree.
And as you say, we're now going to have 2 Walking Dead TV series. Suddenly, Dark Horse are putting 3 TV shows into development, one of which is Concrete. The other 2 slip my mind, but... Everybody's suddenly throwing everything at TV. This get announced as a movie. We're getting this, we're getting this. And it's going to reach a state where you're going to say, it's too much, I can't watch all of these. And of course, you watched iZombie, didn't you? Which, of course, we haven't had in any sort of legal sense over here.
No.
And yet that's got really good reviews in the States, and he's coming back for a second season, and you said it was absolute pish.
My review of it would be, that word exactly, pish. It is just god-awful. I couldn't find any... I thought that little 6-minute teaser trailer of Supergirl was bad. But this is just, it's got it.
This is
painful.
it, yes. So that's another one. So you've got, you've obviously, from DC, you've obviously got Arrow and Flash already, and then you've got Supergirl coming, and obviously Constantine got cancelled, but now you've got Lucifer coming, and you've got, is it Legends of Tomorrow? And...
Which is the only one out of all of those that I think it looks quite exciting.
And sort of, Marvel, they've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've got Daredevil, they've obviously got Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and your Luke Cage, and then your Defenders. And I just worry, is it going to reach a stage where it's like, hang on, I got a job, I got a life. When there's 6, 7, 8 geek TV shows to watch, yeah, great, love it, I'll keep up with that. If there's 20, and of course we've got Preacher coming as well, I'm literally going to have to start saying... fuck it, I can't watch that one. I just literally don't have enough hours in the day. Plus all the movies that are coming out. I mean, I subscribe to the Comic Book Resources breaking news email simply so I can keep up with stuff. And I was getting about 30 emails a day of all this stuff that's being announced, and as you say, Heroes Reborn. Now, were it not for all this Marvel DC stuff taking off, Heroes would not be coming back.
No, definitely
but they're
not.
Clearly coming back because they think, great, now's the time. And you ask the question, do we need it? There's so much other stuff out there, and I just worry that they're flooding the market because now seems to be the time. Launch your geek stuff, get a TV show out of it, the fans will follow it. And I just worry that we're spreading ourselves too thin. But also, are people simply going to have the time to be able to watch all this stuff?
I completely agree, sir. A couple more tiny little things.
So stop! Enough already!
My God, I don't know if he's talking to me or you guys out there. I don't know who he's talking to anymore. But, I mean, he is now fully naked. Finally, a goodbye to Aubrey Morris, who I don't know if you know Aubrey Morris. Aubrey Morris was a veteran actor, 89 years old. He passed away just recently. He played someone who haunted me massively through my teens. He played a character called P.R. Deltoid in Clockwork Orange.
Oh, okay.
And he passed away. And I just wanted to give him a little mention because he fucking petrified me in that film. Petrified me, and still does every time I watch it. So, well done. Goodbye, Aubrey. That is pretty much it for the Monkey Farm. And
well,
there's
I have a couple of things.
You haven't asked if you can use the Monkey Farm, and you know how this works.
First off, Spider-Man. The new Spider-Man has been cast.
Oh my God, you are right. See, this is how we're out of practice. You see, I'm incredibly sorry.
Tom Holland, obviously people were saying Asa Butterfield for so long. Norm, who old listeners will know from our first podcast, texted me to say, have you heard it's going to be Asa Butterfield? And I think you even mentioned it in a previous show, and I sort of said, well, we'll believe it when we hear it. And of course it turns out to be Tom Holland, which seems to have underwhelmed the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen him in one thing, and that was, I think it's called The End, which is the one about the tsunami.
The Impossible.
The Impossible, that's it,
Yes.
the Ewan McGregor
Yes.
flick.
No,
which
he was.
is a good film.
He was very good in that.
He's very good. He's
I mean,
believable. He's
you
a
know,
good bigger brother, isn't he?
Considering he was a youngster, he'd have been, about 12 then.
Let's put it this way, I bought those two more than I bought the brothers in Jurassic World, but we'll talk about that later, definitely.
We will.
Yeah, interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but again, unusual that once again for an American superhero, a Brit gets cast. It's
And who's the rumour at the moment for Aunt May?
Marissa Tomei.
And my clock is ticking. She's going to be doing the whole my cousin Vinny thing. Do you think?
I'm done with this guy.
There you go, and I'm done with this guy. It's just going to be basically Aunt May looking at pictures of tyre tracks for the entire movie.
I just feel that they've made the classic error in that because they're finally going properly young with Peter Parker, they feel, we can go young with Aunt May. And that's not how it works.
And sexy.
The whole point was, Aunt May was old when Peter was in high school. Yeah. So, she was an old woman. She had heart problems. That was why he always had to juggle being a superhero with his romantic liaisons with the fact that he needed to earn money to buy Aunt May her heart meds.
I mean, they were in the danger zone casting Sally Field, because I still have a crush on Sally Field from Smoking the Bandit. So that was danger zone. Frog, indeed, yeah. That was danger zone for me. But now putting her as Aunt May, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch that with my clothes on, to be honest. And also as well, I did read that Steve Buscemi's up for Uncle Ben.
Oh, fuck off!
I know.
Seriously, fuck off.
They might as well get the guy from the Uncle Ben's rice packet to play him by now. But yeah, have we got anything more that we need to pass on to these fine people?
I have one more thing, and that is in our absence.
Just one more thing. Okay.
In our absence, Marvel have announced their all new, all different titles. Their new titles that they're launching in, it's probably going to be October, following Secret Wars. And of course, everybody thought with Secret Wars it's going to retcon everything. We're going to get Wolverine back. We're going to get Steve Rogers back as Captain America. We're going to get Thor back. No, it's basically they're just cashing in by saying, right, we're going to put everything back to issue number 1, and they're going to be keeping some stuff that's been popular in Secret Wars and binning a lot of other stuff.
So they've effectively hit the reset button again?
To me, they haven't.
Oh, right.
They're calling it all new, all different, but it's all old, all same as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think they've announced 45 titles. If I can very briefly go through them all with you.
You can.
Invincible Iron Man. Well, we've had that before. Yeah. A-Force, which was the all-female Avengers team that came along in Secret Wars, so they're keeping that. All new, all different Avengers. Uncanny Avengers, which they've had before. New Avengers, which they've had before. Ultimates, which obviously the Ultimate Universe is now merging with the Marvel Universe. So Ultimates, well, we've had that before. Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, which we had before. Sam Wilson, Captain America, which we had before. Probably the worst title for a comic of all time ever. The Totally Awesome Hulk.
That's fucking terrible.
The Mighty Thor, which will again be a female Thor. So we've had that before. Scarlet Witch, yeah, fair enough. Give her her own title. She was popular in the Avengers movie. Miss Marvel, we've had that before. Illuminati, which has obviously been touched on before. All new Hawkeye, which we've had before. Ant-Man, which they're sort of saying he's going to be being a bit more
prominent in the universe.
Criminal. He'll be touching on his criminal roots.
This is the Scott Lang.
Yes.
Ant-Man, yeah.
The Vision, obviously, again, popular in the Avengers. Contest of Champions, going back years and years, and obviously touched on in Secret Wars. Amazing Spider-Man 1, Dan Slott's still on that. Carnage, getting his own title, issue 1. Spider-Woman, we've had that before. Spider-Man, which is the Miles Morales one, so we're now going to have 2 Spider-Men in the Marvel Universe.
There's only one Spider-Man,
one
we
Peter
know
Parker,
that.
One bit Spider-Gwen, we've had that before. Silk, we've had that before. Spider-Man 2099, we've had that before. Web Warriors, which is basically all the characters spinning out of the Spider-Verse, so we've had that before. Daredevil, Guardians of the Galaxy, Drax is getting his own title. Howard the Duck, Nova, Star-Lord, Venom, Space Knight, what the fuck?
Well, that crossover with Rom.
The Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Uncanny Inhumans, Karnak, Angela, Asgard's Assassin, obviously spinning out of Guardians of the Galaxy, Squadron Supreme, Extraordinary X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, All New X-Men, Old Man Logan's getting an ongoing, All New Wolverine, which is a female Wolverine, because obviously Wolverine is still dead, and Deadpool. So the all new, all different Marvel sounds all old, all same to me.
Admit it, you saved the best one to last there, didn't you? Deadpool.
Fuck you.
You fucking love Deadpool, really.
I will honestly say that there's probably less titles in there that I will be buying on an ongoing basis than I'm currently buying from Marvel.
As a comic fan, underwhelmed.
Very much so. And I think Marvel clearly felt that they wanted to do a complete DC New 52 style reboot.
Yeah.
And they've dropped the ball. I think that it's meh.
They've dropped a nutser.
I'm horribly underwhelmed. And even some of the creative teams I'm sort of looking at and going, really? Why are they doing that? Odd choices. But we shall see. As I say, I'll keep buying you Spider-Mans and the Daredevils and the Hawkeyes and all the stuff that I love. But that's all I wanted to chip into your monkey farm.
Sorry to end the monkey farm on a bit of a down note there with the underwhelming list of Marvel's new comics. But we'll endeavour to find the best ones and tell you which ones to read and which ones not to. We'll give you your opinion. All right, just remember that.
Remember that.
Right, monkey farm out.
I'll leave now.
Get out.
I'm on my way.
Out.
Okay, well, no real main topic this episode. What we wanted to do was, in episode 1, we previewed 10 films that were coming out throughout the year that we
were
thought...
10?
Yes, there were 10.
Have we seen them all?
Well, so far, 8 have been out.
Okay.
But we've only talked about 2 of them on the podcast.
Ooh.
Avengers Age of Ultron and Mad Max Fury Road. So we have 6 movies to catch up on, Scott.
Let's do it. I'm up for this.
Right. The first one, or the third one we discussed, but the first one we're going to discuss today, Tomorrowland.
Do you want to give you my one-word review first?
Go on then.
Fucking Snoreland.
That's 2 words.
Alright, fair enough. Do you want me to give you my 2-word review? Fucking terrible Snoreland. I know that's 3, fair enough. I've got a funny feeling you like this.
You're not a fan?
I thought it was absolutely dire. But I thought I could see there was something that was supposed to be great. But you know what? I pretty much tuned out after about 30 or 40 minutes. I was like,
I will be honest, and again, I think this is one you probably watched online, isn't it? Rather than actually paid money to go and see it.
I wouldn't know what you're talking about. I don't know what this online is. Obviously, I would never stream a film from the internet.
No, of course you wouldn't. I, however, for each of these films, I paid money to see them all.
Well done, you.
At the Skinema.
Well done.
So, I'll start off by saying it was a completely different film to what I thought it was going to be from the trailer. I was surprised it obviously started in the past and telling George Clooney as a boy's story, and then moving into the present day with a young girl. To me, what I hadn't appreciated was how much of a kid's film it was going to be, which was surprising considering it was 12A.
Yeah.
Because I thought, as a Disney film, it was very much targeted at a youth audience, and therefore, maybe unfair to use the phrase dumbed it down a bit, but, I mean, there were some bits, I thought Clooney was very good.
I cannot take that away from the film. Clooney was absolutely superb.
But I thought the person who stole the film was the young girl who played the robot.
Okay.
I thought she was very good throughout it. I thought her performance as this almost sort of cold character who was there to do a job to find these dreamers, but yet develop an affection for the Clooney character as a boy. I thought she played it really well, and I thought her fight scenes, particularly in the shop, I thought were really entertaining.
For me, I think the best scene in the whole movie, they spoiled for themselves because they released the scene that I liked the most as a 6-minute teaser in cinemas, and I saw that, and that got me quite excited about seeing it.
And what was that?
It's the scene where she first visits Clooney at his house, and then they get attacked by the guys, and they do the whole escape in the bathtub thing. I thought that was brilliant, and I was so excited seeing that. And then, saw it in the film proper and watched it, and I was like, I'm really enjoying it. And then after that, it just went flat for me. It literally did flatline.
To me, it died when they went to the alternate universe, the Hugh Laurie universe. I thought pretty much everything with Hugh Laurie in it was a bit,
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was a clever concept. It was a clever conceit. And I thought perhaps a little disappointingly...
A good idea, not necessarily poorly executed, but just, I think, overthought in places and just lost itself a bit.
Yeah, and as I say, it played very much like a kid's film.
Yeah. I can imagine it being released on a double bill DVD with Jupiter Ascending, let's put it that way. An equally terrible
I don't know, it almost took me back to a kid when he used to sort of go and see films like Escape from Witch Mountain and that sort of thing.
Do you know what?
You kind of...
You could not have hit the nail any more on the head. Obviously the original, not the one with the rocket.
No, indeed.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I don't think you could be any more right about that. But quite frankly, I don't want to talk about it anymore because it sickened me.
glad you're not taking these things too seriously.
This is my life we're talking about. I'm never getting that time back, regardless of whether I paid for it.
We're going to do it with each of the marks out of 10.
I'm struggling here. I'm going to give it 3 because I just thought it was shat.
I would give it a 6.
Okay.
I thought it was slightly above average, serviceable, but not really for me, and flawed in places.
I think you've been more than fair by giving that a 6.
Yes. Yeah. But again, I think we've established quite early on that you and I have quite different tastes in many films. And I'm sure that's also going to be the case in the next film we're going to be discussing, which is Jurassic World.
Jurassic World! Right, first off, before we even discuss anything, did you like it?
I did like it.
Yeah, I did.
But,
they made some fucking terrible choices.
I liked the previous 3 Jurassic Park films. I think dinosaurs is a great concept. Obviously, the first Jurassic Park film is, and always will be the best.
Of course. And it still looks the best, which
absolutely.
is the shocking thing.
Yeah,
and that's really, really noticeable.
It hasn't dated, which I think speaks volumes for it. And if anything, this one was probably more of a true sequel to the first one.
Yeah.
In as much as it's taken the concept then and actually saying, okay, well, imagine if the park didn't just die, but they actually thought, right, okay, we're going to run with this and learn from the mistakes that were made and not hire Wayne Knight to...
Indeed.
Indeed. And it was your perfect, typical summer movie.
It was a
big,
blockbuster.
It was over the top. It was crazy. I mean, the last 20 minutes were about as batshit crazy as I've seen a film be in a long, long time.
I think it's one of the strongest finales they've had in a Jurassic.
But it's a dinosaur film, so you have to suspend all disbelief.
And, do you know, of all of it, the only real problem I had with it was making Dr. Wu, is it?
A bad guy.
I didn't like that because he is so not a bad guy in the first one. Yes. He's a pure guy. He's a scientist. He wants to do this to advance the world and blah blah blah.
But I think the reason behind that was, certainly in my opinion, because of the nature of what he was doing. He developed a god complex because he was creating life. When it's just a case of let's add in a bit of frog DNA and recreate these dinosaurs. Yeah. But when suddenly somebody's saying to you, right, I want you to create the uber dinosaur. Yeah. I'd imagine that it is possible to develop a bit of a god complex. But
what took them so long to make a big fuck off velociraptor? You know, what took them so long?
Yeah,
that could have been 2 movies ago. You know, it was a no-brainer. A brilliant. I don't know what should we call him? Your hero dinosaur, as it were, your featured dinosaur. I thought it was great. I think it was absolutely brilliant. Apart from the bit when you have the CEO of the company, the
guy in the helicopter.
Yeah. Whose name escapes me now. Ifran Khan, I think is the actor's name. Right. When he first sees your big new beastie in the thing, and he's like, oh, it's white, and it pans around. It's like, no, it's fucking not. Have you missed a C now? Because that is not white. That's green. I can see it's green. Yeah. But something I was obviously trying to, an early bit of foreshadowing for the whole camouflage and lowering of the heart rate thing. Yeah, I mean, my flatmate, myself and another friend went to see it, and literally as the first
Did you
credit,
see it in 3D?
Yes, and I thought the 3D was very good.
It was good.
Literally, as the first bit of credits rolled, my flatmate just leaned round and he went, "Well, that can go fuck itself." It was not a happy man at all. He just thought it was absolute trash.
The credits?
Yeah, just the credits, literally. It was like one line, "Well, that can go fuck itself." I did enjoy it. I wouldn't say it was the strongest of the films that I've seen this summer, but it was enjoyable. It was a good ride, but I think a friend of mine gave me a little potted review before I'd seen it and didn't give any spoilers, but what he said I wholeheartedly agree with. He said it was a great ride, but when he got to the end of it, he wasn't sure why he'd taken the ride.
Right, okay.
And I thought that was really, really, really telling of the film.
I thought, the thing about a dinosaur film is you can never say, but that wouldn't happen. But
no, of course not.
But I don't believe that because it's a fucking dinosaur film. And therefore, all disbelief has to be suspended.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of Chris Pratt?
I love him. I don't think he can do any wrong. I think he was sorely wasted in this.
Really?
He's very good in it, but I think they could have given him a bit more to do. He was a bit too cookie cutter hero. Do you know what I mean?
I sort of like the fact that he was the hero of the piece, but he was kind of like the lovable rogue type hero. Almost like an Indiana Jones character within that scenario. Obviously,
not quite as amped up as his Star-Lord lovable rogue, but very much based in reality lovable rogue.
Yeah, but not sort of the straight straight-laced hero. You know, he sort of had a sense of humour, but was the one who all the way through kept saying, you know, this is going to go wrong. Yeah. This is going to go wrong. And I quite enjoyed the relationship between him and Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought that played really well. I mean, one particular bit I liked was the bit where when the waterfall and he says, "You can't do this," and she sort of, you know,
ties her shirt
off, and he just looks and goes, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
You know,
brilliant.
That's like, I'm ready for it. And
you're
like,
beach ready. Well done, you. That was a really good scene, actually. I like that because he's trying to draw her attention away from the big fuck off footprint they're standing in.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, standout moments.
I can honestly say that one bit that still stuck in my head when I walked out and still does is this film has the best of any Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, whatever you want to call it, death scene. And I thought the assistant, when she got taken by the pterodactyls, and then dropped by one and caught by another and fought over, and then dropped in the water, and she's just
the Mosasaurus.
That's it, and she's screaming, and the pterodactyls are coming in and taking her and grabbing her. In a scene that was almost her screaming and going in and out of the water, reminded me of the opening death in Jaws.
I think
kind of thing. And then, of course, it's the Mosasaurus coming up and just taking her and the pterodactyl. Probably the best death scene, I think. And
I'd agree with you there.
You know, it really made you go, "Holy shit!" They put her through that. Then
I'd agree with you there, and that probably surprise our listeners that we agree wholeheartedly on something for a change.
And a death, those sort of deaths are normally reserved for a nasty character.
Yeah.
Like, if you think back to the first Jurassic Park film, the lawyer, who obviously abandoned the kids.
Eaten off the toilet.
And then gets taken from the toilet. But to me, she hadn't done a great deal wrong. You know, yes, she'd lost the kids, but they'd deliberately lost her. Yeah. She was always on her phone to someone else, obviously, and therefore wasn't interested. But hadn't done anything to make you think, "Oh, she deserved that." Yeah.
What a bit! Oh, I'm glad she. Yeah, no, you're right.
Which was unusual.
I think the pterodactyl scene in full, the whole pterodactyl scene, was something I've been wanting to see in a Jurassic Park film, well, forever. That was just amazingly well done. Absolute carnage going off.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I really did buy the whole raptor whispering thing, which I didn't think I would. I thought, that's a bullshit idea. But seeing him do it was like, all right, fair enough. They are animals.
You know, it wasn't him controlling them. It was him having their respect.
Yeah,
because
he was the alpha male, wasn't
he? The bit where the guy falls into the pen, and he goes, right, close the gate, and then he dives for it, and they all go for him. Yeah. Clearly, you know,
he's still food.
Precisely. The moment his back's turned, he's fair game, literally.
He had some cheeserama lines in it throughout the whole film, like the bit towards the end. Obviously, this is going to be packed full of spoilers, guys, but the bit towards the end when he realises, obviously, oh fuck, that's a big raptor and her, you know, got a new alpha, boys, all that stuff.
To me, that was one of the two bits that were absolutely obvious, blindingly obvious, and that's the moment they said it's part T-Rex, but the rest of it is classified. You knew that there was going to be Velociraptor in there. You knew at some point something was going to happen to me. You go, oh my god, there's Velociraptor in there.
I did lean to my mate in the cinema when that came on. I just went, it's a fucking raptor in there. And he went, oh.
And also, the second glaringly obvious bit was the fact that the Mosasaurus would have something to do with taking down Indominus Rex.
Wouldn't have given it such a big show in the beginning if it wasn't going to feature later on.
Precisely, in the same way that T-Rex took out the Velociraptor in the first one. You know, that it was quite obvious that was going to happen. As you say, when you give a dinosaur that much hype, you know that
give a dog a bone.
That it's going to be big at the end.
I thought the whole cast was brilliant, but I would request that the two young lads just go and get a few further tips and hints on acting, because they weren't great.
I thought the younger lad was okay.
He was better than the older one.
He was the kid from Iron Man 3.
He is indeed, yeah. He's brilliant in Iron Man 3.
And I felt he was alright. I could have done without the whole, you know, my mum and dad are going to get divorced crying scene.
Yeah. As in the story from the original Jurassic Park, which is pretty much what it was.
But no, I thought he was alright. The older one I thought was shit. But as you say, as an ensemble piece, and I thought Vincent D'Onofrio was very good.
Deserved a much darker death scene, I think.
Gruesome and on-screen death.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been in the mouth of the Mosasaurus,
absolutely.
really.
Yeah, he deserved that. He deserved the assistant's death.
He did indeed.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But interesting enough, just before we move on, is that I was watching Parks and Recreation. I've been binge-watching that. And one of the Season 2 extras was a web series that Chris Pratt had done called Pratt on Parks. It was about 4 or 5 bits, and it was just him going around with a camera filming behind the scenes and that sort of thing. And at one point he is filming himself in the mirror and he gets a text, and bear in mind this is filmed in 2010, 5 years ago. He gets a text and he picks it up and reads it, and jokingly to the camera he says, "Oh, it's Steven Spielberg again." And he goes, "Hang on, I'll have to text him back." And he says, "Hi Steven, sorry, a bit busy right now, but I'll get back to you about starring in Jurassic Park 4 soon."
Nice.
And then, lo and behold, he's in Jurassic World. He's in Jurassic Park 4.
He talked himself into a role.
As a lead, he did. He properly
Clever.
Mystic Meg the shit out of that one.
Clever boy. And obviously I think as well, Chris Pratt might be added to the list of man crushes for me. So
I thought he was on it already, wasn't he?
He's on it more now, I can tell you that much. I think insert man crush jingle here.
Marks out of 10.
I am going to give that a 6 out of 10 because it was good, but it wasn't amazing good.
Okay.
It was good.
I would give it sort of torn between 7 and 8. If I'm in a good mood, it would be an 8. If I'm in a bad mood, it would be a 7.
All right, well, let me tickle you right here. And what sort of score are you going to give it now? Well, that's a 10 out of 10, baby.
That was about a 4.
Oh, fine. Right, let's move on.
Right, moving on. The next one was pretty much mine, which is Entourage.
Oh, which I haven't seen.
You didn't see?
I didn't see it.
Obviously,
but I heard good things.
Yes, based on, apart from Mark Kermode, who said it was probably the worst film he's ever seen in his life.
Which you do have to believe, because Kermode can never be wrong, can he?
Indeed.
Ah.
He said that it was worse than Sex and the City 2.
Which is amusing, isn't it? Because I kind of picked up on one of our
Indeed.
podcasts that I thought, it might be a kind of Sex and the City style.
This is the male Sex and the City.
There we go, see?
But I really liked it. As I say, spinning out of the TV show, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was the characters being as the characters need to be, putting themselves in stupid situations and funny situations and just reacting away. I mean, probably more than any other film of this kind, if you have no experience of the TV show, it would mean absolutely nothing to you. It would leave you cold. And I can understand that, why somebody would come along and say, well, this is just misogynistic shit. This is just hateful. Because you don't understand the way the characters are and the way the characters...
how they interact with one another.
Precisely,
and how they've been written.
And it was more the same. It was just them all taking the piss out of each other and the various situations that go on between them. This was to do with Vinny wanted to direct his own film.
Okay.
Ari is now a studio head, and it was just all about the...
This is the Piven character, yeah?
Yes,
Jeremy Piven.
yeah.
Ari Lehman, is it?
Ari Gold.
Ari Gold. Sorry, Ari Lehman. It's someone completely different. He played Jason in Friday the 13th.
And no, it was just a really funny, entertaining film. There was a few really laugh out loud moments, and it was kind of nice because, I mean, we said goodbye to, the Entourage boys back in, 2011, 2012.
So it's been a fair while since it went off the air.
Absolutely,
It went off the screen.
and it was nice to see them back together. It made me miss them even more. I know that's funny being I'm seeing them, but it made me think, God, I wish this was still going. It's such a good show, and the banter, and it was...
There wasn't a huge fanfare upon its release at all, was there? It didn't seem like it was pushed greatly. Do you think it got lost in this sea of big summer blockbusters?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, there was a lot of big stuff around at the time. I mean,
didn't seem like a sensible time for release for me.
But then it's one of those things that I think you aren't going to just pull in a new audience for it. I think the vast majority of people who are going to see that are going to be the existing audience, and that's what they're hoping for. So frankly, you could have put this out anywhere. I don't need to got much more bums on seats if you'd have put this out in October. Because
does it tie up the stuff? Does it tie everything up, or does it leave it open to go further with the characters? Could they, if they wanted to, they bring the show back?
The TV show tied it up, and this just loosens some of the knots.
Oh, okay.
It sort of put people on a new path. I mean, the TV show ended with Vinny getting married, and the joke was that his marriage lasted 2 days and that sort of thing. And sort of Ari had retired to Italy with his wife because she was fed up of him always getting stressed out. And yet, apparently, after a few lunches with Italian women, she was desperate to get back, and so he went back to it. And so a lot of the stuff that was tied up. So it definitely left it open for far more than the end of the TV series did.
You as a fan, though, you felt perfectly, for want of better words, serviced by a cinematic outing from the boys.
Without a doubt. It was exactly what I wanted. It left me walking out of the cinema with a smile on my face, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but it was a bit like getting together with old friends. It was sort of people
you hadn't seen
for a while, and
I can believe that.
spending an hour and a half with them, which was wicked.
I can believe that.
And so, thoroughly enjoyed it. I would say, score-wise, a really solid 7 out of 10.
Good.
Really enjoyed it. Really
Good. Maybe one day I will endeavour to watch Entourage the show, because I've heard so many good things about it. Our close friend Mark obviously loves Entourage as well.
Does he? I didn't
which
know.
surprises me. It wouldn't have been the sort of thing I'd have expected Mark to watch.
No, indeed not.
Too busy obviously doing beautiful artwork for us, but yeah, I think I will dig into that soon, because I think it's long overdue.
It is well worth it, definitely. Okay, next up we had in our little list of things, which was slightly out of order with the release, but obviously back then we didn't know the exact release dates. We had Terminator Genesis.
Right, you can do this one on your fucking own. What a load of shit! No, I don't think I've hated a movie quite as much in a long time.
Okay.
What an absolute... Just why? Why even bother?
Why didn't you like it? What was it about it?
Well, partly Jai Courtney, who we've already discussed earlier, that he cannot do an American accent, that boy. He doesn't say... I mean, I do a better American accent. He's just awful.
So he was Carl Reese.
He was Carl Reese, yeah. Funnily enough, I'll tell you what, let's start with the positives first, because there's not many. Well, it was called Terminator, there you go. No, the positives for me were the fact that I liked... old Arnie, young Arnie being on screen together. In fact, all the scenes...
A fight between young Arnie and old Arnie.
Which was a great fight. All the scenes with Arnie in, I really liked. Yeah. I really bought them. I thought they were brilliant. Everything else, I just thought, can you just please go fuck yourself? Because this is awful. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible film. Massive spoilers. John Connor being one of the Terminators, like being turned, no. It was... God, it was terrible. What did you think?
I was a bit, it was okay. It was one of those things that, as you know, I'm not a massive action film fan because I'm much more plot and character driven than I am just people beating the shit out of each other. But this at least did have a discernible plot, even though at some point with the whole time business it sort of got a bit, like, what the fuck are you doing?
I think you have to be so careful with time travel movies. Yeah. There's very few time travel movies that do it really, really well. Yeah. I mean, obviously you've got your Back to the Futures. What was the movie that you implored me to watch that you did one of your quick hits? Is it Safety?
Safety Not Guaranteed.
Safety Not Guaranteed. Brilliantly done. Primer. Brilliantly done. This, it kind of just took all the rules of time travel and went, well, we know the basic rules, so what we're going to do is we're going to wing this. And it just felt like they were winging it all the way through. I mean, yeah, it had some good action sequences. It really did.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the one, but certainly one of the most sort of glaring issues with it is when John Connor appeared in 2017.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, John, how are you here? And he was like, oh, I'll explain that later. And then they said, but how do we know it's you? And he just gave them 2 pieces of information that he told them.
Yeah.
But yet, surely, the main question was, how the hell did you get here?
Exactly, yeah.
Why and how are you here?
Last time I saw you were being smothered by a man with a glowing hand.
Yes, and one thing that I was waiting for the big reveal for, but was never forthcoming, is who sent old Arnie back.
Yeah, you never found out, did you?
No, and...
Do you know what? That hadn't even entered into... It's even more shit now you've said that.
And because they sort of made a thing to say, no, he'd been wiped, so we don't know who and we don't know why.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of waiting for this big thing that it was almost like, John Connor before he got turned, knowing something might happen and sent him back, but nothing.
No.
Just no explanation
right,
as to why. It was
nothing.
Teased and never revealed. And
there
you kind of
nothing.
think, what?
What's the the Molten guy who was obviously played by actor who's Robert Patrick in T2? What are they called? What's the model name?
T1000.
T1000. Now in
the Asian guy.
Yeah, but in 1992 when T2 came out,
91, wasn't it?
Was it 91? 91, 92 thereabouts. That was amazing, wasn't it? It looked brilliant. It's a great villain and a really exciting thing to do. And now not so much because we saw it in 91 or 92.
It's been done 24 years ago.
And it hadn't improved and it wasn't any better. It didn't,
But I thought that was the point. It was that model and therefore it can do what it does.
Yeah. I didn't get the whole... when there was the fight scene they had in like the warehouse bit where they brought in the body of the old Arnie, we'll call him, the Terminator 1 Arnie, and he was on the floor and he dripped some stuff into his eye and it was like, oh, because that works. That's legit.
Sort of sparked him back up.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stop making it up as you go along. It's like the writers of Lost had written it. We just make this up as we go along, and at the end it's a smoke monster, or they're all in purgatory.
I mean, I liked the amount of humour that they put into it, particularly with old Arnie.
Loved Arnie's smile.
Exactly.
It's a brilliant smile.
But there was a lot of good lines in the tension between him and Kyle, almost with him being the protective father.
Yeah.
And there's that great scene where they're loading the bullets.
Yeah, having the little, always goes to a race,
little bullet off kind of thing. And
I did like. In fact, in fairness, as I did say at the beginning, the only bits I did like in it did feature Arnie, and I thought he helped to bring Jai Courtney out of himself a bit and made his performance a little bit better. And that scene in particular, when his hand fails. Yeah. And they have that little exchange about old but not.
But then Courtney says not obsolete.
Not obsolete, and that's nice. That was clever. Yeah. But I mean, still, in my opinion, sir, there is only one Terminator film, and it's the original Terminator. Not even Terminator 2 for me. I still think the original Terminator is the best film in the series, and I could happily live without all the others. So, for me, score-wise, I'm really struggling to give it anything above a 3 again. So I'm not going to use having a 2.
I would say. I'll be generous and I'll say 6 because
that is massively generous. I think
there was some entertaining stuff.
Yeah.
Again, did you go to the cinema or did you watch it online? No.
I watched it online, but I had a very good copy of it.
I think this is it. I think it's a different experience.
Oh, very much so.
When you're sitting at home watching it, plugging your iPad or whatever into the telly and actually watching something in your lounge, to sitting there on the big screen with all the sound around you, but also with other people, with a crowd of other people laughing at the bits that they're supposed to be laughing at. I think that makes for a different experience.
I think if I'd have seen this with the crowd, laughing at the bits,
you'd have hated it even more.
I'd have got really antsy. I'd have been, oh, can you fucking shut up? This is rubbish.
But as you said, there are some funny bits in it.
There are some funny bits, yeah.
The stuff with Arnie was good, and I think therefore I know that the vast majority of films you watch are online.
Yeah.
And I've sort of made an effort to watch all of these at the cinema, and I think it does just give it a different. Yeah,
I'm not going to disagree with you. It does take a little bit away from it, but I think with films like this, because once you know how a film's structured and what it's going to be, you can pretty much make a judgment in seeing it in any way. But for me, obviously, I'm a bit low on cash, as majority of the country is, so sometimes I do have to go down the route of streaming a film.
You do have to break the law.
I do have to break the law, but it's fucking.
What did you think of Emilia Clarke in it
as Sarah Connor? I mean, she was all right, wasn't she? If I'm honest, I don't like the whole swapping of the lines and the come with me if you want to live. There was one little bit in that early scene when she rescues him, where Jai Courtney does the trying on of the shoes, like he matches the shoe up to that, and I thought, well done to you for doing that at least. I really liked that, and that almost gave me hope, and then the rest of the movie happened. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Next one that we spoke about, that I think this is another one you're not going to have done, is Minions.
I haven't seen Minions, no, but I've heard very, very, very good things about it.
I mean, my kids loved it. Mm-hmm. They thought it was absolutely superb. They lost their minds at several points.
What you should have done, you should have got them to do a review.
Should have done, really. Yeah. Right. Here we are. State your names for the record.
Myla. Griffin.
Right, what film are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about Minions.
Minions. Do we like Minions?
Yes.
Now, what are the names of the characters in Minions?
They're called Bob, Stuart and Kevin.
What happened in Minions?
Well, first of all, the Minions did not have a master, so Kevin had a great idea.
What did they do to all their old masters?
They lost them, because a dinosaur went into a volcano. It's because that they weren't very good at keeping them.
So what happened in the film?
So the lady was so hungry. The lady bit the thingy.
What lady? What was her name?
I don't know. Scarlet Overkill.
That's right. Was she a good woman or was she a villain woman?
She was a villain. And they also, and how they met her was that they met her at a villain competition.
Yes, they did.
And Bob got out his teddy bear and he hid himself on the counter and he went da, 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 da. And he went, huh? And then the lady said, that's two things. That is not a toad and that is not bad.
So what was your favourite bit in the film? What did you like best?
I loved the bit when the lady took the lady's crown away.
She took the crown, didn't she? The Queen's crown.
I've got two.
Go on then. What are your favourites?
My favourite bit is when the banana bit. Actually, I got three.
Go on
the banana bit. And the bit when she tells them the story and at the end, Bob is a slings up. And my last favourite one is when Gru came.
Gru turns up at the end, and what does he do?
He says, Frisbee! To Scarlet Overkill and her evil husband.
And then she says, but I'm the greatest supervillain in the world. And what does he say?
And then he says, oh, I don't know. And he says, oh, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I said, oh, are you, doesn't it?
So what do we think of Minions? Do we give it 2 thumbs up?
How about if you say mark out of 10?
Oh, okay, then mark it at 10.
Mark out of what? 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. What would you give it? Would you give it 10 out of 10?
Yes.
Was it a great film?
Yes. Oh, it was brilliant. You were very, very lucky, Daddy. It's because that you figured out that Gru would come, but I didn't. So that was a big surprise for me, but not for you.
That's true.
And for me and Griffin. That is very true. Can I please say bye-bye to them?
Okay, say bye-bye to the listeners.
Bye-bye. Remember, still come back soon. There's more to come later.
You guys say bye-bye?
Bye-bye. Come
Thank-
back soon.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast, already in progress.
I would say that the first third of the film is very good. Probably the first 20 minutes is pretty much entirely based on the start of the trailer
Okay.
that they showed.
Which is, just to remind me, is them going through history of lots of different villains, if you know.
Lots of different masters.
Lots of different masters,
yes,
okay.
and inadvertently killing all of them due to their incompetence.
What's the running time of it? Out of interest,
It's
roughly.
it's about 90 minutes.
90 minutes, so.
Certainly nothing more than that. Then, they go to America, try and find a new master, find out about Villain Con, go to Orlando.
Villain Con.
Yeah. And then meet Scarlet Overkill, who is the biggest badass out there, voiced by Sandra Bullock.
Brilliant.
Who's very good and sort of a nice front but a nasty undertone to the character, and she plays it really well. I would say the middle third, the film does kind of lose itself a bit. Again, spoilers, but it centres around the fact that Scarlet Overkill considers her greatest crime to be stealing the Queen's crown.
Okay.
So she sends
Our Queen of England. Yeah,
yes.
no, yeah.
So she sends the minions to England to steal the crown jewels, and they get found and chased.
There's at least one scene with one of them dressed as a beefeater, isn't there? It's got to be.
But what it ends up being is one of the minions goes to. It's got the sword in the stone because, of course, that's in London.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I visit it on a daily basis.
Indeed. And he goes there and they're all chasing him, so he pulls the sword out and starts wielding it, and that basically means that he's now the king. So Queen Elizabeth is no longer the queen, and it's King Bob.
And he's one of the featured minions,
Yes,
isn't he?
yeah, there are 3, Kevin, Stuart and Bob. And they are brilliant. They're very entertaining. Yeah. But Bob's now the king, and of course Scarlet feels that she's been betrayed by them, so she comes after them. And then there's the big denouement, which is quite entertaining. And again, spoiler, but not really if you've got half a brain in your head. It ends with them managing to almost escape from Scarlet Overkill. Yeah. And she's got the crown and she's about to escape when suddenly she gets frozen in a block of ice.
Right.
And that is...
Go on, you're going to have to...
Gru.
Oh! So that's the cameo then. I was going to say, is there a cameo?
Well, to me, what I was always expecting was the end, Gru would turn up and they would end up following Gru.
Right.
And so he freezes Scarlet Overkill. Outside the ice is her hands holding the crown, and he just goes up and takes the crown. And she's like, "You can't take that from me. I'm the world's greatest supervillain." And he just looks at her and goes, "Oh, were you?"
Nice.
And goes off, and of course the minions are like, and they shoot off after him. And he's young, he's literally like a teenager, and he's got hair and everything. And
it's Steve
Carell. Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, that's nice to know.
So,
I think I probably would have enjoyed that more than Terminator Genesis, which is a much of a push.
Yeah.
I have seen the Despicable Me films, and I did really, really like them. So this is one I will definitely.
They are
watch.
fantastic. It's very
I
entertaining.
will definitely watch that.
And I would give that. If it wasn't for that middle third, it would be an 8. So I'll give it a 7.
Well, so that's quite a high scorer for what's effectively a children's film.
But,
I mean, if it's held an adult's, attention span.
I love the Despicable Me films.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you are quite a gooey fella, really, aren't you? You're a massive kid at heart. I mean,
yes,
it's
without a doubt.
So
more than you.
Right.
You are much more the cynic than me.
That's because I'm too cool for school, really.
Yeah, indeed you are.
I mean, obviously.
I still very much embrace my inner child.
Indeed you do.
And but yeah, I mean, what I love about the Despicable Me films above a great many animated films is the fact that there's stuff there for the kids and there's a lot there for the adults that would sail way over the kids' head. Clearly they've made it knowing their audience is going to be 6-year-olds sitting next to their parents, and they've catered for both, and Minions is exactly the same. So
excellent
stuff. Very good film. And then the last one, the 8th film that we discussed, which we've both seen very recently,
we have,
was Ant-Man.
The finale of Phase 2 for Marvel.
Indeedy doodles.
I'm gonna lay my cards straight on the table.
You loved it.
I did. I thought it was brilliant.
And fuck, you've loved one of them.
Do you know what? I haven't had that much fun watching a movie in the cinema, not online.
Oh!
Hey! Oh, snap. What?
Maybe you loved it because you were in the cinema.
No, because it was only our local picture house, which is probably about the size of my room anyway.
But it's a cinema.
No, I really, really, really liked it. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. I think I spoke to you very briefly last night when we had a little brief phone call.
When we arranged meeting up today.
When we arranged this whole debacle. And I said to you, I really think you should take the kids to see it. But you immediately said you thought they'd get bored. Now, obviously, you know your kids better than anyone else in the world. So.
It's a 2-hour plus film.
Didn't seem like it to me, though. It really, pow, 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 went real quick.
To me, it felt like it in places.
Okay.
It sort of felt like, I mean, there were some bits that I thought were very good. My only concern with the film, and it isn't so much a concern with the film, it is just a concern with the character and the whole conceit.
Okay.
Is that just getting small and big again is not very sexy.
It served me well for 39 years, sir.
But, you know, I think shrinking down to something really small and then being able to pop back up, it's kind of like, nah.
He's a grower, not a shower.
But one thing that I didn't get with the power was when he's small.
Yep.
What's the power? What is the
power? Well, she says, doesn't she? You've got you've still got the force of a normal human, but because of your size, it acts like a bullet. Yeah. So he's kind of got he's got super strength, doesn't he? Really, indeed. When he's small. Okay,
yeah, because they said it reduces the size between your molecules.
That's right.
But increases your density.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that, because that's led me.
It's a plot hole number one.
When he's small, there are times when he needed to get from A to B really quickly. Mm-hmm. So this tiny little man is running, and people are shooting at him, and he's sort of running along. Yeah. And so clearly he doesn't have any great bounce ability or anything. You know, he can't get from A to B. How then, when he's with the bad guys and he shrinks down to a small size, and suddenly you see the bad guy thrown backwards like he's just been punched in the face really hard? How was he able to punch him in the face if he'd have shrunk down to the ground?
I haven't got the answers to these questions.
To me, it almost seemed as if, having shrunk down to the ground, he was suddenly able to go boom and go flying up and punch.
Well, I think he did do that a few times, didn't he? He was small, and then he goes to the larger size as he's sort of like mid-punch.
Yeah, but we saw it happening when it was just small. He would disappear, and suddenly someone would go boom, and their head would fly backwards like he's just punched them.
I haven't got the answer behind the science on that one, I'm afraid.
And I didn't understand how, when he needed to get from point A to point B 12 inches further away, he had to run really fast, and yet when he was fighting somebody, he seemed to suddenly have the ability to leap and jump. And
so for you think the conceit of his powers was a little bit muddled?
Well, as I say, to me, it wasn't sexy. You know.
First things first. Before we go any further, did you like it? Though?
Yes,
you did. You did like it. Okay.
Very much so.
Good, because I'm glad for that.
It was a good film, but I just felt that it wasn't up there with a lot of other superheroes because they have their wow factor. Thor has his hammer, Captain America has his shield, Iron Man has his armor, Spider-Man has his web shooters and his fighting ability. Yeah. Ant-Man can get really small and get really big again. Yeah. And it's kind of not like ooh.
No, I understand what you mean. It's maybe
go small, Ant-Man.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not sexy, but I think obviously his other really cool power is the ability to communicate via this little thing with the ants.
With ants. that's not that sexy.
I thought it was brilliant. It was brilliant, and him naming one of them as well, Anthony, which I thought was awesome.
But you knew as soon as he named Anthony,
he was going to buy the farm.
He's going to die.
Going to buy the ant farm.
But, hey,
there you go.
But the problem is that him naming him and the way they dealt with it. Almost made, they almost want to say, oh God, feel bad because Anthony's just died. Come on, you want to squeeze out a tear, don't you?
Well, I did. And I was the wing, like,
that was it. Hang on.
No.
Am I not the eternal child and you're the cynic? How is it suddenly you're crying at a little wing going then and I'm going, oh fuck off, that was obviously going to happen.
I don't know. I think maybe just because I connected more with Paul Rudd as a character in this, I thought
because you are a criminal.
Because I'm a criminal, yeah, exactly. But what a shrewd move to pick Paul Rudd to play him, because you have to have someone who looks immediately likeable and trustworthy.
He is an everyman.
He's got a great
look,
isn't
he plays. I mean, the characters he played tend to be sort of less than perfect. You know, sort of,
not quite downtrodden, but maybe not.
Well, I was going to say down at heel. He is sort of very much your eternal loser that everybody's cheering for.
Yeah.
I thought he played it superbly. I mean, one thing that I did really enjoy that I didn't think was Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. I thought was
great,
superb.
Wasn't he? The opening scene when you see him as young Douglas. I was actually a bit baffled by it because it just looked so flawless.
Also lovely to get Peggy Carter in there
as
well.
Yeah. And the first time we've had, I forget the name of the actor, but the first time we've had the Howard Stark again.
Yes, indeed.
But for me, sir, Ant-Man wouldn't have been Ant-Man without, if I pronounce his name incorrectly, I apologise, but Michael Pena.
Yes.
Was he just not the most jaw-dropping? That was absolute comedy genius.
Now,
all the way through.
It was interesting to see that, because I didn't realise that this was still the Cornish and Wright version, and of course seeing them not only getting joint credit for the screenplay with two other people but be credited with a story. And I wonder how much of the Edgar Wright bit was Michael Pena talking and everybody else doing the mouth.
All of it. It's got to be.
That was so Edgar Wright.
It's got to be, yeah.
It's sort of pinging from one character to another without losing.
You get that as your end scene as well, don't you?
Yes,
as well. I thought exactly the same thing. To the point, I actually nudged the guy I was with at the cinema. I just went, well, that's obviously Wright's direction that they've left in. But you're right, wasn't it nice to see their names?
I'm so glad I don't go to the cinema with you, because if you elbowed me halfway through the film and started talking to me, I'd go, fuck off!
Well, there is that. I didn't say anything else to him. I was too busy masturbating him. Much to the chagrin of the children behind me. They dropped their popcorn and everything. Well, actually, I'll give honourable mention to the children who were in the cinema, because they were little pricks. They were up cartwheeling in the aisles. If I was a parent, I'd have just cut their throats or something. I don't know what you do with kids to calm them down. It's not cutting their throats, is it?
It's definitely not. No,
it's not. This is why I'm not a parent, you see. But yeah, Michael Pena.
I will say,
brilliant.
when I went to see it, I'd never seen so many people get up and go to the toilet during a film. Literally, of the people I was there with, at least 50% of them got up. One bloke went 3 times.
I was there. I was hooked from the moment I saw young Michael Douglas. I was like, that's brilliant. I'm in. I'm so in with this now. Really, really enjoyable. I thought every character was played really well. Weakest link, maybe Evangeline Lilly. What could have been a bit more, but she is beautiful and she really suits the bob.
Again, going back to Terminator Genesis, I thought
we have to.
There was a lot of humour in there as well, which I think absolutely suited the style and character. I mean, probably the bit that got the biggest laugh in the audience, and certainly for me, was the bit at the end when the two characters are kissing, and he goes, "Why would you even kiss me?" And Michael Douglas goes, "You're full of shit." And he just goes, "Yep."
It was nice for me, obviously, sitting in the cinema, hearing that really loud. "You're full of shit, Scott."
Yes.
Words I've heard before. I think one of my favourite lines through the whole thing is when the 3 cohorts, Dave, the Russian, and what was Michael Pena's character called? I can't remember now. I only saw it last night. But it's when when he shows him the powers, and the Russian guy just goes, "This is the work of gypsies!" The whole cinema just pissed themselves. I don't know whether it's all because we've got an intrinsic hate of gypsies, or pikeys as they call them where we're from. But yeah, a great film. A really, really great way to wrap up that final little phase, and obviously 2 really good stingers, I thought. And do you know what? Before we finish up on that, how good was the fight scene with Falcon? I really enjoyed it.
Really well.
Nice to see him having a bit of a comedic kind of...
But also, because of that, having the bond now with Scott, and obviously him sort of not only trying to find out who he is, but that last little stinger as well, which I thought was excellent.
Very, very good film.
The only thing I was expecting that didn't happen was I thought that they would, when he went into the microverse or whatever it
When
was.
he went subatomic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought he would see or have some interaction
With
with
the original
Janet.
Wasp.
Yes, with Janet Van Dyne, and obviously that didn't happen.
Probably for the best, I
Yeah,
think. Cause
I
I think because to me it veered more towards a younger Marvel audience.
But then the weird thing was, of course, that they deliberately never showed her face.
Yeah.
Even in the picture of the three of them, she's got the hat over her face, which of course makes you think, is she going to appear at some point? And because we don't know who's going to be playing her, we aren't going to be showing her face. So.
I will give honourable mention as well to the actor whose name completely escapes me, but he was in Boardwalk Empire and played a character called Jip Rossetti.
Yes.
Wasn't he good?
Wasn't
he brilliant? And of course to the little girl who played Cassie.
Yeah,
she was.
They were all good.
Absolutely flawless.
Yeah.
Maybe could have done without them keeping the ant at the end, but other than that,
Now that's one thing that actually saying that probably got the biggest laugh was the train.
The train and the ant,
house, which I didn't think was that funny.
I liked it.
Just never, it was
I
liked it. Okay, you know.
I think maybe
and
because
the place fell apart
because they'd spoiled that so much in the trailer. I think maybe it didn't have the impact it could have had, but still great to see. I love the other cop going, "That's a messed up looking dog," as the ant runs out. For me, happily give that an 8 out of 10.
Yes,
really would.
I would
it was,
agree.
It was, Graham, excellent.
Right.
Fuck you, buddy.
So, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I've missed you.
I almost believe that.
Can we put some clothes on now?
Yes.
Excellent.
Let's get dressed.
Let's get dressed.
Right. Apologies again for having been away for so long, but we're going to make sure we get a few episodes under our belt, so there will be some Geek-Minded foolery coming at you fairly regularly for the next few weeks.
Indeed.
But for the meantime, from Geek-Minded Fools, my name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.